to talk, go over some of the concepts on our test, okay, that you're going to have. Excuse my dog, she's barking. She barks when anybody comes by my house. Okay, let me see if I can maximize this. Well, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, let me select a brush. Okay, now we can get started. We're going to talk first of all about how do you convert decimals to fractions. Okay, now that's the first problem here we're going to do. All right, now let's say you have 0.375. Okay, 0.375. One place to the left of the decimal is tenths place. Two places to the left of the decimal is hundredths place. Three places to the left of the decimal is thousandths place. So you make this 375 over 1,000. And numerator and denominator you can divide evenly by 5. Okay, but I mean divide evenly, you can, when you divide it, you don't get a remainder. Okay, and that's called reducing your fraction. If you reduce it, you make your fraction smaller. So if you divide 375 by 5, you get 75. And if you divide 100 by 5, 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. But that's not reduced to lowest terms because there's one number that 75 and 200 both divide by. And you can divide 75 by 5 again, and you get 15. 200 divided by 5 is 40, and that's still not reduced because both of them will divide by 5, and 15 divided by 5 is 3, 40 divided by 5 is 8. So 0.375 is 3/8 in lowest reduced form. Okay, reduced means there's nothing that will divide into 3 that will also divide into 8. Okay, so 0.375 is 3/8. Now, number 2. Convert this to a fraction. .28, which is one place to the left of the decimals, tenths place, two places to the left of the decimals, hundredths place. You have two places to the left of the decimal, so that's 28 over 100. And then you can divide numerator and denominator by 2, which will be 28 divided by 2 is 14, 100 divided by 2 is 50, and then you can divide that by 2 again. 14 divided by 2 is 7, 50 divided by 2 is 25. So 0.28 is 7/25. Okay, and then change this to a decimal. Okay, you have a fraction you want to change to a decimal, 3/5. Okay, 3/5. So if you want to change it to a decimal, one way to do that is divide the numerator 3 by your divisor, your denominator. Okay, there's nothing times 5 will give you 3. So you got to put a decimal point here. And then 6 times 5 is 30. Put a 6 there, and you have to line your decimal point up. Okay, so that's 0.6. So 3/5 is equal to 0.6. Now I've made up a handout, and it's got all these problems I'm doing on this video on the handout, and it's on Blackboard. And you could print it off and work the problems if you want, or you can go back and look at it and write them down. Okay, so I thought I'll give that to you. I don't know if you can get out or not to make copies of anything. They're saying they ordered everybody to stay home. So, of course, I know you're allowed to go to a grocery store and go to places like that. So maybe you might be able to make a copy of this and get it printed off somewhere. So, anyway, if you have any questions on this, send me an email or put something in the discussion board. Okay? You have to go to Blackboard to find these videos. I mean, if you're a Southern student, of course, I'll have it on YouTube. All right, you divide the numerator by your denominator. If you want to change this to a decimal, okay, convert to a decimal is what we want to do. 2 divided by 7. Now, there's nothing times 7 is 2. So you have to make it 20. Now, what can you multiply by 7 to get as close as possible to 20 without going over? You can't say 3, because 3 times 7 is 21. And you line your decimal point up there. 2 times 7 is 14. Subtract, you get 6. Bring down a 0. Okay? And 8 times 7 is 56. Right? And subtract, you get 4. And 7 sevens are 49. So 7 won't work. 6 sevens are 42. 5 sevens are 35. And then 7 sevens are 49. And you subtract it, you get 1. 1 into 7 is 10, and you subtract it, make it a 10. 1 times 7 is 7. And you get a 3. 4 times 7 is 28. And you get a 2. And so you'll just keep repeating what you've got. So you got what you started with. So it's one of those repeating decimals. So it's going to be 0.2857114 bar. Meaning that 285714 repeats over and over and over. Okay, in a survey of 300 people, 17% prefer ranch dressing. On their salads. How many people prefer ranch dressing? Ranch dressing on their salads. Okay, 17% prefer ranch dressing. So it'll be 17% of 300. You find 17% of 300, which is 0.17 times 300, which is 51. A Kirby vacuum cleaner dealer sold 430 units in 2011, and 407 units in 2012. Find the percent decrease. Okay, percent change is new amount minus original amount divided by original amount. Times 100%. Okay, so the percent change is percent change is for the new amount, which is 407 units, minus the original amount, which is 430, divided by 430 times 100%. Okay, 407 minus 430 divided by 430. You subtract 430 from 407 first, and then you take that number and divide it by 430. And you should get negative 5.348 times 100%. Okay, now I've been told that I am not to meet with any student face to face. I mean, I guess there are exceptions, but I have to have permission to do that because of this coronavirus. So if there's something you want me to explain to you in more detail, or if you want me to go over something again or anything like that, just message me and I'll try to do another video. Okay, but just let me know. Message me on, send me an email, or put something in the description, the discussion bar. Okay, on Blackboard. Now you find these videos on Blackboard. Okay, so this is negative 534.8%. So that's, the negative just means it's a decrease. So you have a 534.8% decrease. Now this problem is Lucy needs to borrow $6,200 to replace her roof. on her home. Okay, she obtains a 30-month loan at an interest rate of 5.75%. Okay, it's 30 months. It's 5.75%, so she needs to borrow $6,200 to replace the roof on her home. Okay, so part A says calculate the simple interest on the loan. Okay, so I is P times R times T, and the principal is $6,200 times the interest rate, which is 5.75%, so you have 0.0575 times the time, which is 30 months, so it'd be 30 over 12, which is, it comes out to be $891.25. So multiply 6,200 times 0.0575 times 30, and then divide that answer by 12. And you should get $891.25. Okay, now part B says determine the total amount due that is the original amount, which is $6,200, plus the interest, which is $891.25, and that is $7,091.25. Okay, now this problem says Braden Little League receives $50,000 donation uh, to build a new snack bar. office building. Now, the league decides to invest this money in a money market account. Okay, money market account. This is account. Okay, that pays 4% compounded quarterly. How much will the league have in this account after 2 years? Okay, so the formula is A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT power. Okay, A is the final amount, P is your principal, R is your interest rate, and N is how many times it's compounded. I use a different brush and it made it a little darker, so I thought maybe that might make it a little easier to see. Okay, the final amount is how much is invested, which is $50,000 times 1 plus the interest rate. Now your interest rate is 4%. You have to change that to a decimal. So you divide this by 0.04. I make that 0.04 and you divide it by, it's quarterly, so you divide it by 4. Raise it to the power of the number of times it's compounded, which is 4 times 2 years. So that's 50,000 times 1.01 to the 8th power. And then you compute 1.01 to the 8th power on a calculator, and then you multiply that by 50,000. And you should get $54,142.84. Okay, now this problem says Jim wants to invest money to buy a new tractor. He wants to invest money to buy a new tractor in the future. He wants to invest money now to buy a new tractor in the future. Now, he wants to have $275,000 available in 5 years. How much does he need to invest now in a CD paying 5.15% compounded monthly. Okay, so you still use that formula. A question mark is P times 1 plus R over N to the NT power. And the final amount, he wants to have $275,000 available. So it's $275,000 equals the principal times 1 plus the interest rate, which is 0.0515 divided by 12, raised to the power of 12 times 5. So $275,000 equals the principal times 1 plus 0.0042916667 raised to the 60th power. And then 275,000 equals P times 1.29297924, and then divide both sides by this number. Now you could round this if you one, but I told everybody you got to be very careful how you round it. I would at least carry it out 4 or 5 decimal places, because if you round it a lot, it would really make a huge difference in your answer. Okay, you divide both sides by 1.297924. And this is 1.29297924 is $212,687.10. So that's how much he has to have today to get $275,000 in the time period he asked for, which I think was what, 5 years? Yes, 5 years. Okay, now empirical probability. Is you do an experiment and compute the probability. That's empirical probability. Okay, like the Smarties activity we did. Okay, you had to draw out a certain color, record it, draw out another color, record it, do that 80 times. And then you found one probability, the other, and the other probability, and compared them. So that's empirical probability. Whereas theoretical probability I think there's an O here. Okay, you compute a probability. Okay, theoretical probability, you compute a probability of something happening given pencil and paper. Okay, that's theoretical probability. Now this problem is, oh, I've got to select a brush. Okay, Tina, Jake, Gina, and Carla form a club. They plan to select a president president. Now on the the paper that I typed up on my computer, dealing with the problem with the tree diagrams. I mean, I did the tree diagram the best of my ability on the paper, but there are no branches drawn, and the reason why I don't have any branches is I don't have access to a copy machine. So I can't go out and make copies of anything, my home, and we're kind of confined to our homes right now. Okay, so your your choices of president is Tina, Jake, Carla, and Gina. That's president. Now, if Tina's president, then you have your choices of vice president be Jake, Carla, and Gina. And for Jake, your choices of president, vice president is Tina, Carla, and Gina. And if Carla's president, then you have Tina, Jake, and Gina. And if Gina's president, then your choices are Tina, Carla, and Jake. Okay, so now that's my tree diagram. And then for presidents, the choices of president and vice president. Okay, you have Tina and then Jake. Tina's president, Jake vice president. Or you can have Tina as president and Carla as vice president. And then Tina as president and Gina as vice president. Okay, those were the possibilities with Tina being president. Then you could have president, and vice president. Okay, you have Jake as president and Tina as vice president. Jake as president, Carla as vice president. Jake as president, and Gina as vice president. Okay, and then you could have Carla as president and Tina as vice president. Okay, I'm not going to write president and vice president again. And then Carla as president and Jake as vice president. Carla as president and Gina as vice president. And then you can have Gina as president and Tina as vice president. Gina as president and Jake as vice president. Gina as president and then Carla as vice president. Okay, and there's 12 possibilities because you've got 4 different people to choose from for the president and then 3 different ones for the vice president. 4 times 3 is 12. So you'll have 12 possibilities using the counting principle. Now this problem is a coin is flipped and a number 1 through 4 is selected at random from a bag. Okay, construct a tree diagram. And B, list the sample space. Okay, you have heads or tails for the coin, and then number 1 through 4 is selected. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then tails 1, tails 2, tails 3, tails 4. So your possibilities, your sample space, so it could be heads. I'll abbreviate heads as H. Heads 1, heads 2, heads 3, heads 4. And then tail 1, tail 2, tail 3, tail 4. Okay, now part C asks you to determine the probability that a head is flipped and an odd number is obtained. And an odd number is obtained. And D, determine the probability that a head is flipped or an odd number is obtained. Okay, now our possibilities from before was H1, H2, H3, H4, and then T1, T2, T3, T4. They ask you what's the probability that a head is flipped and an odd number is obtained. Okay, these are heads. You got 2 possibilities out of 8. So part C would be 2/8, which is 1/4. And then D, the probability a head is flipped or an odd number is obtained. That's a probability of a, we'll start over with the new screen. Probability of a head is flipped or an odd number is obtained is the probability of a head plus the probability of an odd number is obtained minus the probability of a head and an odd number is obtained. Okay, the probability of a head is 1/2. Probability of an odd number is 1/2. And a head and an odd number is 1/4. So the answer is 3/4. The probability that a new dry cleaner will succeed on a given day determine the odds in favor of dry cleaning succeeding. Okay, the odds in favor is the probability of that event divided by 1 minus the probability of the event. And the odds against will be just the reciprocal of that. So that's going to be 0.85 divided by 1 minus 0.85, which is 0.85 divided by 0.15, which is 85 over 15, and that reduces to 17 over 3, and that's read 17 to 3, not 17 thirds. Okay, odds in favor. Now, each of the numbers one through 9 is written on a sheet of paper. Okay, the 9 pieces of paper are placed in a hat. They're written on separate sheets of paper. If one piece of paper is selected at random, from the hat, determine the probability the number selected is than 4. Even. Okay, even or greater than 5. Even or greater than 5. Okay, how many are greater than 4? You have numbers 1 through 9. You have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it will be 5 over 9. Okay, and even, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, be 4 ninths. And even or greater than 5 is the probability it's even, plus the probability it's greater than 5, and the number minus the number that's even and greater than 5. The ones that's even and greater than 5 is 2 ninths. So 8 ninths minus 2 ninths is 6 ninths, which reduces to 2/3. So part C is 2/3. Okay, now 2 sheets of paper are drawn. As in the previous problem. Okay, without replacement. Okay, determine probability that both numbers are greater than 5. Both numbers are both are greater than 5. So that's probably the first one's greater than 5 times the probably the second one's greater than 5. Okay, oh, and it's no replacement. Okay, on these problems, no replacement. Okay, so the probability is the first one's greater than 5 is 4 ninths. And the next one will be 3/8. And that comes out to be, well, you can cancel 4 into 4 is 1, 8 into 4 is 2, 3 into 3 is 1, 9 into 3 is 3. That is 1/6. Okay, how about the first is odd? And the second is even. That's a probably the first is odd times probably the second is even. How many odd ones do you have? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So it'd be 5 ninths. And how many are even? 2, 4, 6, 8. It'd be 4 out of 8. So that's 5 ninths times 1/2, which is 5/18. Okay, I think this is all I'm going to do. Okay, so I think I will end this video. If you have any questions on these problems, you can let me know. I do have a printout of every problem, and I've tried to work it out the best I can. But if you want me to repeat anything or go over anything in more detail, just let me know or send me a message. I think I'm going to put quizzes on Blackboard, and I'll ask you questions about some of these videos, and you have to kind of watch the video to be able to do the quiz. Okay, so the quizzes will be posted for these videos. And I already made one earlier today. I'll have a quiz for it, a quiz for this one, and maybe probably some quizzes for the YouTube videos I put on there. I mean, YouTube videos that weren't ones that I made. Okay, this is a YouTube video also, or at least it will be after I post it on YouTube. Okay, so if you have any questions, get back in touch with me. Thank you very much.